chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Sabrina, I don't know if you can hear me. I can't hear you when there's no volume.
There we go. Back. You hearing me now?
Excellent. I hear you now.
There we go. We had a power surge. Thank you, Jimbo. Love you lots. Love you lots.
Start all over now.
That's the good thing with the podcast. We can start over.
Bye.
Okay, take care. Thanks, Jimbo. Well, it's good to be back now that you can hear me, unless you could have read and all of this animation. Oh my God, that must have been something. Hello. Thank you, Harry, for telling me that. Yep. Well, good evening, one and all, and welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks right here on CMRTV.com. We had a power surge and I had to reboot everything, and I think that's what happened. My humble apologies there. But welcome back to another episode right here on this fabulous Thursday. Oh my God. I'm loving the weather. Some people may say it's bipolar, but I'm really loving it. We had the sun is out right now. We had some showers last night, but we can definitely feel the temperatures going down as we actually prepare for this other cold front. Not as strong as the other one was, but yeah. Welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. Now, this evening, we're diving into something that hits close to home, literally. I'm talking about our yards, our neighborhoods, our streets, and our sense of pride. You know us as Caymanians, we have always been known to keeping our spaces immaculate. Clean yards, swept sand, trim hedges, and even whitewashing our stones. It wasn't just, or it isn't just about the aesthetics of things. It is our identity. It is discipline, and definitely it's respect. But today, something is definitely shifting. And we're seeing more overgrown lots, garbage piling up in certain areas, and noticeable decline in Cayman's standard of cleanliness that once defined exactly who we are. And the question is, what has changed? Is it population growth? Is it cultural differences? Lack of enforcement? Or have we simply let go of something that used to be a part of who we are? I notice a lot of the conversations from many platforms, and that's the good thing about holding a podcast, because we can steer our conversation for what's topical, because we definitely need your feedback, because those we know for sure are listening. But tonight, we are going to talk about the cultural shift, the legal responsibilities, the waste statistics as well, and the imported habits that we're seeing reshaping Cayman. And we're going to ask the big question, how do we protect Cayman cleanliness culture that has always set us apart? Ladies and gentlemen, the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and or participants, is intended solely for general informational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for your specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. 345-936-8255 is the number to call and be a part of the conversation as usual, and you're all welcome. Thank you for all the notices telling me, that there was no sound, loud and clear now. Damien Henry, thank you so much. Without further ado, let's get this bit out of the way. The synopsis compliments of the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. The synopsis calls for decreasing moisture alongside an increase in winds are expected this evening as a frontal trough, which has recently brought rain, gets pushed southwest towards Jamaica ahead of a rapidly approaching front. Now, a few showers are expected tonight as this front passes, with this to clear in the early morning as drier air once again pushes in due to the associated high-pressure system. Now, fresh to locally strong winds are expected from tonight, which will bring some rough seas through most of Friday. A small craft advisory will be in effect for this evening, with the small craft alert being issued from midnight. Satellite imagery shows overcast layered clouds across the Northwest Caribbean. Now, the forecast for tonight calls for partly to cloudy skies and isolated showers with the frontal passage clearing in the early morning. Temperatures will fall to the low 70s. Winds will be north to northwest at 15 to 20 knots with higher gusts. Seas will be moderate to rough with wave heights of 4 to 6 feet, becoming 6 to 8 feet after midnight. Swells are expected along northern and western coast, and a small craft advisory will be in effect at first, with a small craft alert to be issued, as stated earlier, midnight. Now, tomorrow's forecast calls for occasional cloudy with a 20% chance of morning showers. Temperatures will rise near the mid-70s. Winds will be north to northwest at 15 to 20 knots with higher gusts, becoming 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts during the afternoon. Seas will be rough with wave heights of 6 to 8 feet, and swells are expected along the northern and western coast from this afternoon. Tides. There will be a there will be a low tide at 6:05 this evening, a high tide at 12:28 a.m., and another low tide at 6:18 in the morning. Sun will set at 6:19 this evening, and tomorrow sun will rise at 6:59. Now, the outlook calls for a cold front becoming stationary east of Jamaica by Saturday as the high pressure erodes. Winds will gradually become moderate to fresh from the north, then continuing varying northeast through Sunday. As a result of the decrease in winds, sea conditions will also improve. The small craft alert will be downgraded to a small craft advisory early on Saturday to be discontinued later in the morning. And that's what you have to be expected, where our weather here in our beautiful Cayman Islands is actually what we offer here. Yeah. So all of you who are running from the snow, yes, even though our temperatures are a little cooler than what we are accustomed to, guess what? It's still better than where you're coming from. Thank you, one and all, for joining me. It's always a pleasure to have you here on Sabrina Speaks, that is brought to you live every Monday to Friday from 5 until 7. Please don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Now, let's just let you know in our global and local news roundup. And thank you for your feedback on this. Thank you so much for the feedback that I'm getting on this. Let's get into it. In our local news, we see where, yes, let's give a salute to a Cayman aviation legend. Captain Joey Jackson has officially retired after a distinguished career with Cayman Airways. On the eve of his 65th birthday, he piloted his final commercial flight and greeted on arrival with a water cannon salute and a guard of honor. In a touching moment, his son Bradley Jackson served as first officer for the flight, and celebrations continued at Georgetown Yacht Club, where colleagues, officials, and loved ones paid tribute to Captain Jackson, decades of service in the skies. Thank you so much, Captain Jackson. Please go and enjoy your retirement. Thank you from all of us here, Sabrina Speaks family, for your service. Yes. And for all of those persons who shared in that moment. Yeah. And as we continue on the local stage, a proud moment for law enforcement here in the Cayman Islands. His Majesty, the Cayman Islands Prison Service, has officially graduated its 2025 recruit class at a ceremony held at South Sound Community Center, and where friends, family, and dignitaries gathered to witness the new officers take their oath. A moving spoken word presentation by the recruits left the audience reflective, ending with the powerful words, "Be fair, be firm, be friendly, but not friends." Officials praised the group for their integrity, discipline, and commitment to public service. Congratulations to those. And also making headlines today here locally, Liberty Networks has confirmed it will bid to partner with the Cayman Islands government on the country's third underwater data cable. The proposed subsea connection would boost internet speed, security, and resilience across the islands. Now, Liberty says it's ready to support Cayman's growing digital infrastructure needs as the jurisdiction continues to expand its role in the regional and tech economy. So there we go, as we have it. More from the medical side of things in health. A major step towards moving forward in cancer care for the Cayman Islands. A new cancer registry bill proposes mandatory reporting to all diagnosed cancer cases by healthcare providers. Now, this move aims to strengthen national cancer data, improve early detection, and guide public health planning. Currently, reporting is voluntary, but with cancer being one of Cayman's leading causes of death, officials say better data is critical. Now, the bill includes updated privacy protection and is expected to go through public consultation before heading to Parliament. There you have it. In regards to the weather radar update, you're seeing where we're getting reports, and as reported publicly, The Cayman Islands National Weather Radar remains offline today as technicians continue to work to resolve a system outage. Now, the Department of Environment and the Cayman Islands National Weather Service say they're actively addressing the issue, which has affected real-time tracking of rainfall and storm activity. Now, while satellite data is still being used for forecasts, officials are urging the public to stay tuned to official channels for updates, especially with the dry season underway. And we will continue to follow this story as this continues to unfold as well. Also making headlines today in the region, a major corruption verdict out of Turks and Caicos Islands from former Premier Michael Missick and several associates have been found guilty in a 20 million corruption case following one of the longest and most high-profile trials in the Caribbean. Now, the charges include conspiracy to fraud and money laundering involving public funds. The case has sent shockwaves through the region and has reignited conversations about transparency and accountability in public office. Now, as we said, more on this development story as it continues to unfold. And also more news in the region. There has been a report of chicken shortages are ruffling feathers across Jamaica as reported. Now, several wholesalers and retailer outlets in the corporate area are reporting limited or no supply of poultry, according to checks by The Gleaner. Now, the shortage, which has affected even some of the island's most reliable suppliers, is raising concerns about food security and supply chain stability. Businesses say that they are struggling to meet demand, and consumers are already feeling the pinch. Now, definitely, this will be another story that we here in the Cayman Islands will be watching very closely because we know how we depend on those imports right here. And last but not least, from in our region, in the business news, NCB Financial Group is streamlining its regional operations. Now, the Jamaican financial giant has announced it will transfer its Cayman Islands banking arm, NCB Cayman Limited, along with its wealth management portfolio to Clarion Bank in Bermuda, now a major owned subsidiary. The move is part of an international reorganization that is aimed to consolidating services under the Clarion brand. Now, the transition is pending regulatory approval, but signals a shift in how the group manages its offshore operations. There you have it. So that has been our news roundup for today, and I hope that we will have more as we continue to build this space. And like I said, thank you so much for your feedback. And let's say happy birthday to all of those who are celebrating a birthday, wedding anniversary, and those who are just celebrating life. We want to wish you many, many more. And just an update, we heard Jimbo there. Thank you for letting me know what was going on as you continue to recover. And I spoke to Shalma as well, and she sends her love to you, Jim. Yes, she sends all of her love, that she keeps you in her prayers. She has you in her prayers as you recover. And she's asking for all of the love to continue to keep her in your prayers as she continues to be by her husband's side. They're still over there in Tampa. He's going to be undergoing some treatments Monday, and we will keep her again close to us. It's been a journey. It's been really rough emotionally, and she's just being strong. But everything is going as best as they can, and she's just making sure that she's there for him and keeping up with all the appointments over there in Tampa. She says thank you for all the well wishes as well. So I will definitely keep you updated and alert. There we go. So good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Aliano, how are you? Harry, thank you for alerting me on that. Marshall, good to have you in the house. Yes, yes. Connie Palmer. Yes, the crew. We're all here. Jim is fine. Yes, yes. Oh my God, it's good. Yes, cultural differences and lack of enforcement. Jim, I think that was on the intro of the core of our topic here today. And like I said, 345 936-8255 is the number to call in if you want to weigh in on this topic. And I know I'll get a lot of people really going about this and how it's really who we are and how it impacts our product here in the Cayman Islands, just keeping our surroundings clean. Yes. Aliano says, I'm liking the weather. It is messing with my torch. You're not liking the weather because it's messing with your tours and tips. Yeah, I can understand. You guys have been hit hard, man. And let's hope we get a little break. But I tell you what, Aliano, I don't mind. I really don't mind the change in temps, to be honest. Darlene, good to have you with us. Oh, my girl. Hey, shout outs to you. Miss Mays. Jimbo, much love and respect to Miss Shelma, along with thoughts and prayers for her healing and for her husband. Thank you so much. Donnie, oh, good evening to you as well, my love. I hope that you're continuing to mend as well. And Miss Lavana as well. I know she took Sonali's death very hard. And I hope that she continues on the mend as well. Well, it's good to be back. And let's get straight into our topics. Like I said, the phone lines will be open. I'd love for you to weigh in. This is spun off of another conversation that I saw, again, that was having, and I know how it hits home to a lot of Caymanians when it comes to cleanliness. I always raised up hearing my grandmother say cleanliness is next to godliness, but that is something entrenched. There was something about Caymanians when it came to keeping our yards and our spaces, but we're seeing exactly where that wasn't an option growing up here, being a Caymanian. It was expected. Cleanliness in general, that was not an option. It was expected. And your yard represented your family. It also represented your home and your upbringing. They want to say, if you know how somebody keeps their house, check how they keep their car in by their front door. Let me tell you, that's a telltale. That is a telltale. And if your yard was messy, trust me, the whole neighborhood knew back in the day. And we swept our sands. For those of you who know our history and is aware of our culture, we were proud. Cayman took it to a different level. West Bay was very known for it as well. And anyone who, that was just who we are, that fresh sand. And don't dare walk in it either. Don't dare walk in it. But we raked those leaves. We swept that sand with that. Is that mulberry bush? And we trimmed hedges. And we did this because this was a part. Now, we were talking about culture yesterday. And that is part of our culture. If you didn't know, for those of you who are just joined us and not accustomed to having a culture where cleanliness really represented who we are, because it's just not your culture. Not because government told us either. That was just who we are. And visitors commonly comment on how clean Cayman is. But now that is changing to was. Not just the beaches, but our homes, our yards, roadsides. It was one of the things that set us apart. Now, I would love your feedback on this. What has changed? What is changing? And what were the rules in your house when you were growing up? And do you think we've lost that culture pride, or it's not yet lost? I would like you to weigh in on this. Jimbo is saying, it doesn't matter how poor a person is, no reason to live in filth or have it showcased for all to see. You're quite right. You're quite right. And thank you for sharing that as well. But there's just a sense of pride, Jim, that comes with it speaks a lot about your upbringing, as I said, and exactly how inside of your house could be. And you had chores, if you raised up like me, that you did in the morning. And there was just the first thing you do when you get out of your bed is you make it. Now, how many people push that or instill that into their kids? Because that's the nanny's job. That's the helper's job. But what are the basic things that we're missing that has possibly eroded this culture that continues to actually go on a slippery slope? What has changed is the big question. Now, we know that Cayman is continuing to grow. And in many cases, some are saying faster than our systems, faster than our norms, and faster than our expectations, even though it's glaring lights, it's not slowing down. Now, we now have to then manage and accept, really, that there are many other cultures living side by side as well. And not every culture has the same relationship with cleanliness, yard maintenance, and even the disposal of waste. And let's be honest, some people they just don't feel invested in long-term appearances, possibly, of a community because they don't plan to stay. What's your take on that? This thing comes to the forefront of my mind. Read the room. Read the room. Don't bring your dirty cultures or habits that doesn't align with what you have actually arrived and what you have seen. But what if they're not invested because they don't even know? They don't identify it. Well, Sabrina, that's almost oxymoron. Read the room. If you see us using receptacles and not throwing things out of the window, not storing stuff up and we don't have hills that you can just throw it down the hill and think it'll disappear. We're flat, right? Just observe what is a norm here and don't bring certain practices. There's one thing based on your culture, from where you're coming from in your personal space, but there's something that has to shift when you go to another man's country. It is in your best interest to know where you're going, read up about it, and adjust accordingly your norms, especially in common spaces. What you do in the privacy of your own home, that's totally up to you. But when you start to bring certain practices in the common space that actually erodes what you came and found, it's different from what you found because it's not the culture of this jurisdiction, then that can be viewed, and it is deemed, disrespectful. And this is where you get it becomes very emotive, and the sense that we are losing who we are. And it's like we're constantly fighting for our identity and to preserve exactly what I said at the beginning, our culture. Yes. So it's very important for me to reiterate what I just stated, understanding the high number of imported labor that we have here, the high number of different nationalities and cultures that we now have living beside us. Some people may not even feel invested in the long term. So they might not necessarily care about how they keep their surroundings or even how it looks. What would you say about that mindset, should that be the case? Jimbo says, love watching everyone get their yards prepared for Christmas. Don't see much of that anymore. Traditions, that's a tradition. But you don't really see it anymore because there are now rules and regulations, exploitation of what used to be a culture, a tradition that is now being exploited for the wrong reasons. So again, based on rules and regulations, you can't do that anymore. Sanding, putting fresh sand in your yards and that sort of stuff, it's illegal. There are some limitations based on how you actually remove sand from the beach in small quantities, I think. But even that is now questionable because how long is a piece of string and it's just been exploited. So that we don't see very much anymore. Or if it is even seen, be careful, you could be arrested, and make sure you know the laws on that. Aliano says, I feel that everything is affected by more than a lack of culture. Nature of capitalism has forced people time to focus of work for every dime. We have passed off the cleaning to service you pay for. Yeah, which is what, Aliano, I see where you're going with this. which is why yesterday we were asking, and it goes right back into yesterday's conversation about being open on Sundays. We are a consumer-based economy. We provide services and products based on demand. And it falls right in line with what you're saying. Now, thank you for saying that. Denver says, rosemary bush brooms, which is family to the rosemary herb. I believe it can actually be used in cooking also if properly washed and dries. I said mulberry, rosemary. There we go. But yeah, I've seen those brooms actually in the Brack, and 1-2 here as well during my time on different heritage days and outings. And there are some very few older persons, seniors, especially in West Bay, that would continue to do this when they were able. But that tradition, that custom, that culture, have that been passed on? Because we've gone now to blowers. And if your yard doesn't have turf or grass or gravel, you're seeing less and less of this based on where you're living. Now, it's a little different if you're living on the coast, if you're living on a beach, that your ground may have sand. It's a little different, but even that is raked sometimes with the wide fan rake. So it's interesting to see how that has changed. And Denver says, my peace on cleanliness here has gone out the door with the generational Caymanians in the past 30 years because the imported poverty they have acquainted themselves with in friendships and marriages. But it shouldn't really change what's instilled in you, in my humble opinion, Denver. I could be married to someone from a different culture. What's in me is in me. And I tell you what, I ain't gonna live in squalor because your culture have you look at cleanliness at a different level. It's not gonna work if we're living in the same space. And we can agree to disagree when it comes to cleanliness, but I don't think that that's even debatable when it comes to how you, with sanitation, to be honest, and how you dispose of trash and how you keep your home and all that sort of stuff. Cultures, yeah, can affect what is important to some versus others. But I really feel that it's in everyone's best interest, especially in your personal space, that should be one of the things that you should be on the same foot, to be honest. Putting sand in your yards is another piece of our heritage lost due to our government. Can't even build a cistern on your property anymore. Yes, I'm hearing that. But there are certain provisions, and I stand to be corrected, in the planning law that you could possibly do a cistern, but there are just certain provisions, especially for new builds, where it is placed. You know, back in the day, Denver, where sometimes you would have a portion, maybe like half or 3/4 or a quarter of your house, where a portion of it is on a cistern. I think it can be included. I stand to be corrected, like how you have like a back patio or a porch. I stand to be corrected, but yeah, I've heard that as well, and the main reason for that is we depend on city water. Is up to, again, some people see it as moving on and improving our infrastructure and modernization. But there's so much advantages of rainwater and what you can do around your home. There are just certain things you can use it for that could actually assist in lowering your bills. But that's where you go with modernization sometimes, and modernizing your society where you no longer deal with a cistern. But I bet you appreciate it should something goes wrong, or when the water cut off, God forbid, out of safety, when hurricanes are coming, that you're forced then to store up all of this water, which is the same thing. So it is quite how we consider modernizing, but still missing a piece of the puzzle, to be honest. Missing a piece of the puzzle. Dean says, good evening, welcome, thank you. My grandmother always used to say, not a sin to be poor, but it's a sin to be nasty. I was raised by a grandmother, and let me tell you something, I didn't get away with anything. And I am just so happy now that I'm an adult that there were just certain things instilled in me as a female, especially. And I think guys get a little break, but even those basic home care skills, I think, should be instilled in every individual. And this is why I applaud like the Scouts, Guillory, Girls Brigade, the cadets. These things, those are some of the main things that they actually teach you. How you present yourself, how you iron your uniform, the making of your bed, personal hygiene, and all this sort of stuff. When you look at it, it's what our parents were telling us. And yeah, I am all for it when it comes to this generation, because some of them are really missing out on it. But when you look at the statistics here, when we're coming back now to garbage a little bit, and it'll all tie in with what you're saying, and thank you for your comments, thank you for your feedback. We have had some stats that is in circulation here, and as our population continues to grow, we're going to continue to see this problem. And will we continue to see how we keep our spaces actually clean is the problem. What would we have to do to maintain the standard of cleanliness that our country is known for, despite us already accepting that we have so much other nationalities, cultures, and behaviors that are living amongst us? But here's something people don't really realize, because you don't really think of it once you toss something in the trash. Based on some information that I've discovered, Cayman produces over 500 pounds of waste per person per year, per individual. 500 pounds of waste per person per year. And that's one of the highest rates in the region when this information was taken. And guess where most of it goes? Most of it goes in the landfill. And that means when we toss something away without thinking about reusing, repurposing, or, well, we sit on the fence with the recycling bit, to be honest, it doesn't disappear. It piles up. And we need to look at what I dubbed as the throwaway culture. I was doing the dishes last night after dinner, after the show, and I had, oh boy, one of them country crock butter bowls, because I did a lot of baking during the holidays. And I was cutting up some vegetables and the skins and stuff like that, and I just tossed them in it. And then, okay, you're going to put the lid and just toss it. Well, guess what? I don't know if it's the old people age getting, oh, no disrespect to the seniors. I don't know if that side of me kicked in, but when I went to put it in the trash, I said, hold up. You always trying to get seeds. Why are you disposing that butter bowl container? There may be something that you can use it for. Every now and again, you do shake and bake. Every now and again, you need to flour something that you're going to fry. I mean, Easter is coming up. You never, and I looked at it totally different. At that time, I didn't even think about this episode today, because it just happened. And what I did, I emptied the contents out of the container, pour some warm water into it, put the lid on it, just so that it could actually dissolve. And guess what? Your girl kept that container. And it aligns exactly with what I'm trying to say right now, the throwaway culture. Because we have constantly adapted a habit of tossing things in the trash without thinking twice. But in a small island like ours, to be honest with you, and we are proving it's not sustainable. And we don't have, as we can see, endless land. And we don't have endless space. And we're seeing we don't have endless land capacity. So I think the time is now where we need to rethink on how we repurpose things. And it could be maturity for me because, like I said, I would have tossed that like nothing. But I guess since I'm working from home now and I'm doing a lot more things, I'm getting into gardening. Is that old age? Please, oh God. I'm just looking at things totally different. Even glass jars. I'm seeing me using them and repurposing them. That was something I wouldn't have thought about. Oh, just toss it, just toss it, just toss it. Is it maturity? But this is something that I have become aware of, and I'm just not quick to toss things out anymore. I'm being very honest with you. And another truth fact in this wake up in me to tell you that I didn't toss it away because I was thinking, oh, this is one less item in the landfill. No, I was not thinking about that. I was thinking, what could I use this for should the need arise? Still, because that isn't in the forefront of my mind. But how many of us are really tossing away things that could really be repurposed? Not to be a hoarder, but really and truly, are we just tossing away things without really giving them a second chance? Jim says here, most people who rent just don't care, whether locals or imported persons. It's like their attitude is, it's not mine, so who cares? Seen it numerous times as a landlord. And that goes straight into exactly what I was saying, Jimbo. They don't see themselves here long term. So who cares if I litter? It's not for me. I got my home to go to. I'm just here to work my money and go. Does that speak for everyone? No, it doesn't. But what we're saying, if certain things are a norm, I think we need to do a better job with getting it out there of what our standards are. So when they come here and they can see certain things, if it's not blaring in their eyes, at least it's repetition, repetition, repetition. These are our standards. This is how it's going to be maintained. And yes, landlords needs to also have some responsibility in letting them know exactly what the standards are when it comes to cleanliness as well. Harry Brandon says, collecting sand off beaches, even in small quantities, has been fully prohibited by the Department of Environment and can be prosecuted. Yeah, that's why I said it. Back in the day, it's been exploited, which is why we no longer have that privilege. However, if you buy sand off of local sellers or local legal routes, then sanding yards is legal. Yeah. Before they used to give us a leeway, I think you could get like a 5-gallon bucket and you weren't allowed to use machinery, but you could use like a shovel for X amount. But even that now has been stopped. But thank you for sharing that with us. Tartarian says, speaking of rainwater, I still drink rainwater. Amazon sells a great rainwater catcher, plus you can build your own. Good. Thanks for sharing that, Tartarian. I remember drinking that as a child, and at least then rainy season could be predicted. My grandmother used to have a drum by the back door, and she would have a piece of cloth over it. And what she would do is put something like after a dry spell, and we know the rains were coming, she would put something over it. So she says, no. You got to make the dust wash off the roof first. Got to make that first wash come off. And then based on how long the rain fell, that she thought the dust was off of the roof, then you could see her stretch her hand out of the door and remove the covering that was exposed, then the mesh. And there she caught her water that was still streamed. So yeah, I totally get that. And going up to a neighbor's house for their cistern as well to get it out of their cistern. So I know what that is, but it'll be interesting. I'm going to look that one up, Tartarian. Thanks for sharing that. Aliano, neighborhoods have become disconnected to live in unity to many small sub-nationality groups. Yes, and we're seeing that increase. But what it doesn't and what it shouldn't change is nationally exactly our level of cleanliness and what is expected. And at some point, we have a litter act. We have the litter law. We have the litter law that pretty much says, Cayman, it's illegal to dump on empty lots, but we're seeing it, to throw trash on the roadsides. But if they can't be caught or if they aren't enforced, people will stop taking those laws seriously. And this is where, at the end of the day, I'm getting the frustration based on the sound, the voices who are actually not scared to speak and saying, what's going on? How can we apprehend these offenders? Who does it fall under? And I'll be honest with you, it's everybody. It's those who are breaking the laws. It don't care what nationality they are, whether or not, they're from here or they're accustomed to disposing or handling waste a certain way. We have our certain standards. And I think nationally that should be touted, just like how we're doing like a national health strategy. We need to have like a national garbage strategy as well. And you do a big blitz on it. These are just as we try to navigate how we manage cleaning up our spaces. We can see Earth Days coming up. We see many of groups going on beach activities and they clean up and all that sort of stuff. I, for one, have done possibly hundreds of neighborhood cleanups, pre-hurricane cleanups, pre-Christmas cleanups, just because cleanups. And sometimes in those inner roads, you wonder really if the homeowners are not driving into the driveway and seeing what volunteers are walking through and picking up that is in close proximity to what they pass every second. And this is why we're saying, what has changed? Are we losing it? Is everyone just burnt out, or you're so caught up with everything else you're not even seeing the decay, the erosion on what was just something that you just didn't tolerate? And it speaks volumes from where we're coming from and where we are. And until we actually embrace this, like we say, we have the laws, they're not just their words on a paper, but everyone is responsible. Everyone is responsible for upholding those and also keeping their spaces clean. What's your take on it? Do you think, I'm going to throw this out here just wild, let me see where it lands. Do you think that we here really need to look, Cayman as a whole should be thinking about adopting a throwaway culture? Like, really? What are your thoughts on that? And I would really like to get your feedback, because as something as simple as a butter bowl, last night, and it's only because it's fresh in my mind, I have pretty much been doing that with a lot of other things. And now that I think of it, and everyone knows me, I put myself together, and even how I purchase clothing now has changed. You have so much, you space them out because, thinking of this, we're so small that people will say, she wearing that again? But what are you going to do? Who can afford only wearing one piece of clothes once because you're fearful of what others are going to say? What are you going to do with it? You can pass it on, recycle it, but then you got to buy. You got to keep buying. You got to keep buying. It's going to get to a point that you're like, where is all of this clothes going to end up? Somewhere. Okay? And these are the true conversations that we need to have, that societal pressures also bring on you. And there's a certain norm. Yeah, it's a certain norm, or again, fearful of what people say. But if you're thinking broadly on how we handle that, you need to think the same how you dispose of your trash. Jim says, there's nothing wrong with growth, but it needs to be handled carefully and cautiously, and much has not been handled in a manner that doesn't best suit Cayman tradition or culture. Jim, I think sooner or later we're going to see a change in that, because thanks to all of you for being vocal. Thank you all for voicing your opinions. We're seeing where it's beginning to positively evoke change. You are being listened to. You are being heard. And I'm feeling now that we can only give it a little bit of time and see exactly what necessary resources, manpower, and legislative change. And when I talk about resources, that will aid in enforcement to hold the gatekeepers accountable and go out, properly apprehend offenders. You got to catch them. And then bring some cases to court. And I feel with that being successfully done, because they are supported, they are funded, we will see a change in these behaviors. Dean says economic standing in life has nothing to do with cleanliness. You're quite right. You are quite right. Packing materials, styrofoam, plastic, glass. Yeah, all of these can be reused some way, somehow. You know, the styrofoam, I realized that that's the stuff that they have in the potting soil. I didn't realize that until the other day. And there was something that I took out of a box, and it had some styrofoam, because I'm trying to catch some pepper trees. I'm trying to grow some onions as well. Oh, God be with me. I just did that. I had them, and I mashed it up, and I tried to use it. And again, that was stuff that I'm seeing. So it's amazing what you can reuse these things for. But as long as it's not in anything that would actually seep into the soil that I'm trying to grow my vegetables, you got to be careful what it is you're doing. So, but yeah, you're quite right. Can be possibly repurposed, or if you don't buy them, you can't. If it's something that you need to buy, you can't have any control over how the manufacturers are actually packaging them. But some of the stuff that they do come in, you can actually repurpose them. Yes. Harry Brandon says, the UK has never been known for its beauty standards. But even in this country, due to the shared amount of different cultures and behaviors, wow, standards are declining. So, Harry, you see, they're persons who are coming to your country and definitely changing it. And that is what we're trying to not get out of hand here in the Cayman Islands. And yeah, it is amazing how that can actually impact and change where you're from. And it's pretty sad, but it takes all of us to keep what we know, to maintain the standards that we have set for our own jurisdiction, and don't allow anybody to come and change that, because that's just not who we are. Denver says, how many of you catch the rainwater in aluminum can and drink it? As a kid, but recently, how many do it? Yeah, as a kid, as a younger kid. But here we go again. Then there was the introduction of the bottled water, and it was cool to be with the bottled water. Let me tell you something. Denver, things have changed. And even though we have to continue to modernize and go with the times, sometimes you really wonder if it has set us back more than put us forward. I can understand for the fast pace and development and based on demand, but many a times that's the most refreshing thing those days. That was the most refreshing drink of water you could actually have. Harry also says, and the worst offenders for causing buildup of garbage and crap is actually government housing. Private housing is usually a lot cleaner. Interesting, Harry. You're saying that the persons that are living in government provided housing, that those are usually the areas that is poorly kept. Well, that speaks a lot. And but it goes back to exactly what Shalette was saying, that economic standing in life is has nothing to do with cleanliness. But this is a known fact as well, that you're seeing some lower income neighborhoods, even though you have persons who are advocates and are appealing for different oversights and accountability to be brought into their neighborhoods. You're seeing certain neighborhoods with based on a certain income that they are maintained at a lower standard. So you're onto something there. But it goes right back to what Dean is saying. Economic standing in life has nothing to do with cleanliness. But Harry has also proven a point here as well. So what is the shift? Is it because they expect less, or we're automatically like putting them in a box that you're not expected to be held at a certain standard? It shouldn't. Because the government has introduced so many regulations to try and protect people in government housing that local councils and housing associations can nearly never kick people out. Oh, wow. Tartarian says it's called excessive consumerism. Yes, you're buying too much. Yep. And it has to go someplace. Styrofoam, I believe, allows proper drainage of water and allows the soil to breathe properly. You're quite right, Denver. And it worked. I must say it's working, because my little seasoned pepper trees have caught, and I'm so proud of those little buggers. But yeah, I've just repurposed a lot of stuff. Harry says, well, in the United Kingdom, private housing and government housings are intermingled. They are intermingled. There is no separation. Oh, so it actually brings down the standards of the entire community. Oh, okay, I get you. And I guess, Harry, you would be able to identify which one of those residents are actually government because of the standards. Now, there we go again, Harry. Is it because the individuals who are possibly living in these places, is it being paid by government? They don't care to maintain it, which speaks a lot, versus those persons who actually have to work very hard to either pay their rent or to purchase their home, that they have a different sense of respect for their surroundings. That will be an interesting thing as to why the standards for stuff, easy come, easy go, almost, I would say. Not just people in government housing, but the entire town would be affected as being seen as dirty and full of garbage. You're quite right. And for most countries, government using a private housing are separated. So there's a clear distinction between private areas and government areas. And that segregation is what we're seeing is causing some problems, and we're trying to integrate them. But if that's what's happening in the UK, oh, wow. And it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. Read the room. Read the room. Read the room, meaning read the, when you arrive in our country, read what you see. You don't see food shops on the side of the road. You don't see people running to clean your windscreens. You don't see these bandstands, I guess you would call it, and you set up these. There's certain things that are not here, and it is not a part of who we are. And it is sad, but we have laws. But if the laws themselves are not being upheld, then it becomes a norm. But I had somebody say, I'm going to get to the WhatsApp message. I had somebody said, Sabrina, how will our laws and our cultures be respected if you have individuals tasked with upholding our laws, but are originally from a jurisdiction where the laws don't make sense because of how they were raised? In English, if I come from a country where it is a norm for me to just toss my household trash out the back door, out the window, because it was a precipice, there was a gully, how am I going to see that now that I'm here in the Cayman Islands driving along the highway and there's overgrown bush coming up and I just toss my trash, my food out of the window? It's a norm. And that conversation came up because they're saying that is what they're feeling. Our laws are not being upheld. People are not being apprehended because the same people that are tasked with enforcing the laws, it's a norm from possibly where they're coming from. It was just a conversation. And that ties into what Mr. Belika kept saying. When you don't have Caymanians writing your laws, your legislations, what do you expect the outcome to be? So there could be some fact to that. The gatekeepers are not always our own that would understand where we're coming from, the importance of cleanliness and all that sort of stuff. And even though they have persons who are actually employed, may have been in our society for years and are Caymanian, because of what's inculcated in them, their core doesn't align with our true culture, that they don't see it as being anything. So what? It'll get picked up. Got a comment here on WhatsApp that I'm told we should see how the students in school dispose of their trash next to the garbage bins instead of inside of them. So even in our schools, we're seeing certain behaviors that is not, is it because they know somebody's there to pick it up? Is it just they don't care? And I know back in school, that was one of the things that you were held responsible for. And it speaks volumes of the type of household. No, let me take that back. Not all the time it speaks of the household that you're coming from, you know. It's the environment, the friends, the influence. And that's what I'm saying. Not all the time it's a reflection of where they're coming from. That may be a percentage of it, but not all the time that's a case. Because sometimes the behaviors of the children in the school, when they're in the front of their parents, it's day and night. When they're in the front of their peers and out in public, you would scratch your head when you see things and you're like, that's not Jim's son. That's not Jimbo's daughter. That Connor's son behaving like that? Oh my God. Yeah. So it is quite interesting with our young men and women, the behaviors that they actually exhibit when they're not around or even in their homes. They don't care and they have someone to pick up the trash. Make schools like Japan, where children have to clean up the schools and classrooms. Japanese schools don't have janitors. Let me tell you something. Thank you for that WhatsApp message. I was looking at some images in Japan, and their roads are pristine. I mean, clean. And if you don't believe me, just go onto YouTube or Facebook. There are some live cams there that shows you different parts of Japan. And for the population that is there, we got some serious work to do, because it ain't population that's the problem. Take a page out of Japan's book. Harry Brandon says, but not for the right reasons. In my opinion, that does not apply in the UK as they are put together. And Harry continues, this does not help to reduce the stigma around getting government support if you need it, but has also cause other issues in society as garbage buildup. Tartarian says some tenants' yards and homes have so many people, and they are responsible for the garbage that they do. Some is just thrown in the bush. You see what I tell you? I feel that in the cases where there are tenement yards, that landlords should be held liable for it. And this is why even amendments to the law and how we handle and dispose garbage, once you're a tenant or you have a property that's rented, any liabilities should be borne on the property owner because you're collecting the rent. You should provide the necessary infrastructure for proper receptacles. And that reminds me, the Wheel of Bin campaign that was started by the DEH. I asked what is happening with that, and I'll do a follow-up on that. And I'm hoping that the current minister will actually continue to roll that out throughout this island, because it did very well on the pilot program. And hopefully one day, maybe we will have DEH on this platform to give us an update on the Wheel a Bin campaign, where those receptacles were actually given out, and it did wonders for even our ladies and gentlemen that are working in the DEH that are tasked with collecting our garbage. And these receptacles were the trucks were equipped that they didn't have to do the heavy lifting. They had lids that came on them that kept the garbage that you put in them protected from rodents and feral cats and chickens and all that sort of stuff. So it would be interesting to hear the findings, one, of the pilot program, and two, if there's any support from the sitting administration to roll this out island-wide, where based on the occupancy of your dwelling, that will determine how much bins you get. The bins are registered to you. They come with a coded number so that even if somebody takes the garbage bin from you because they failed to register, that the number on it could be tracked. Yeah. So it was an excellent program. And I think that the whole emphasis behind that was that you did not constantly have your garbage cans out by the roadside, that saved by an enclosure, that it was easy enough for you to wheel the bin, set it across your house, next to your house or away out to be seen, and you pull it out the day before the garbage is due for collection. And once it's collected, you wheel it back and you put it back. So when you look down a road, you don't see tons of garbage. You don't see it. You don't see these Foster bags or the thank you bags. Sorry, Fosters. You don't see the thank you bags used as garbage bags, which they were never designed for that, actually exposed. So I really would like to follow up on that to see where they are on that and whether this administration will actually continue to roll that out, because I know during my time, I had persons from other districts that were asking for it, and it actually did wonders between the areas that the pilot was actually working on. And people got into the custom of pulling out their garbage when the garbage truck is coming, collect it. And once the garbage is collected, they go in the morning when they wake up, or the afternoon, whenever, whatever, and they pull it back, and it's working well. So visibly, it works. It is working. Now, it would be great for that to actually be extended across the island. And guess what? None of those receptacles you had to pay for. And they're sturdy. They're durable. So let's hope that this is one of the things that possibly could change the behaviors. And what we saw as well in the data that was collected, if my memory serves me well, is that some of the houses that were actually built for families, let's say 4 or 5 member families, have now 16 people, because those houses have been converted now to apartments. And where it would be 5 persons per household, you can have 10, 12, 15 people. So the dynamics have changed as well. So it'll be interesting, but let's hope one day we can get them on here and we can have or at least the findings would be in the public's domain, so that we can understand exactly what was the outcome of that exercise. Brandon, Denver, whatever happened to the foreign national that Miss Romelia caught throwing garbage out of his window? His excuse was that that's what we do at home. You see what I tell you, Denver? You see what I tell you? Exactly. I don't know what really happened with that. I wonder if the case is still, I don't know what happened with that. But it would be good to follow that up. It aligns with exactly what we're saying. Harry says, I also take issue with the idea of refugees in the UK. You cannot be a refugee to the United Kingdom. Yes, you cannot be a refugee. And Harry also says, the UK is an island. None of our neighbors are at war, nor will you be in any significant danger in these countries. Harry says, therefore, you can claim asylum and refugee status. There's the whole argument that the United Kingdom needs to accept certain people for refugee reasons. In my opinion, it's legal crap. Under the UN Charter and the Refugee Treaty, you must apply to the first country of safe refuge and not the country where you think is best. Oh, we'll have to watch that, Harry. Yes, you did. Denver, you did read my mind. Good evening, Miss Lucille. How you doing? Hope you're doing fine. It's always good to have you join us, and I hope that you are learning something here today. And I know you back in the day would know how clean our roads were because of what you used to do. Yes, everybody's here. Please make sure you're keeping warm over there in the UK. And thank you for staying up with us. I spoke to Shelma earlier on. Yep, I hope always good to have you join us. Dean says reduced importation of such certain things, I think, coming into the island, like disposable items, plates, plastics. In some places in the US, you are fined for not keeping your yard clean or lawn cut. Yeah, you're quite right, Dean. The homeowners association in certain areas actually fine you, and the state as well, the county will actually fine you if you don't maintain your properties. Maybe that's where we're headed to here in the Cayman Islands. It's all about crafty revenue measures. So let's see. Let's see if that's something. What a mess. Oh, Sabrina, that message you just read. Our people would not allow their kids in school to such. Yes, we would take a page out of. Oh, yeah. Yes, in regards to, if that was to happen, Jim, oh my God, it would probably be a riot. But look, the Japanese got it, they got it. It'll be interesting to see if that could be anything that we could consider here, understanding what the WhatsApp person said, Japanese school don't have janitors. That would be interesting, Denver. Oh my God, what a riot that would cause. Wake Up Cayman Island says, Harry is right about the United Kingdom. I am part of a clean up group for the bicycle path. It's an endless battle. Beds, TVs, toys, chairs, clothing, books, food. That's how I got my, oh Lord, that's how you got your computer desk. God dug it. So you went shopping. Wake Up Cayman. No shame in your game. Well, it talks about repurposing, right? Oh my God. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Good for you. Dean says, in some cases, garbage could be picked up twice weekly instead of once a week. That was a suggestion, Dean, that was made. It was a suggestion, but not necessarily island-wide. We did acknowledge that there were some areas that it was more heavily populated, and based on the amount of garbage that was produced, that twice weekly would suffice in certain areas of Cayman. Now, whether or not this administration is willing to revisit that, I don't know. Only time will tell. But the foundation is there. They're at the beginning of their budget. And if cleanliness is at the top of our list, because we know the impact that it can have to our tourism product, we have heard the complaints about the garbage on our public beaches. There is a poll right now as to whether or not there should be any vending on our public beaches at all. Go on to CMR WhatsApp channel. I think the poll is there. The minister, Mr. J.E. Banks, was on her show this morning, and he asked for persons to actually weigh in on that. So the more people we can get to participate in that poll, it sends a strong message when it comes to vending on our beaches. So yes, Dean, that was discussed about whether or not, because there was one time garbage was collected in the Cayman Islands twice a week. Then it went to 1 day a week because of demand and I guess resources and fleet. But in discussions that we had, there are just certain areas that it wouldn't warrant twice a week, but there are definitely others. It's not funny, but you could do that daily and you could probably pick up the same amount of garbage. So that's something I'm hoping that the powers that be that may listen to this episode may take into consideration. Wake Up Caymanian, it was in excellent condition. No shame in your game, my sweet. No shame in your game. That's something you didn't have to buy. And it's repurposed. Alfred Real, welcome. How are you, my love? Auntie Sabrina, a decline in cleanliness often signals a deeper shift in how people relate to a place. When communities feel temporary, unknowledgeable, or disconnected from decision making, care becomes transactional. You can clean what you own, not what you share. Litter and neglect then becomes symptoms, not causes. If Cayman wants to look pristine again, the harder work may be restoring a sense of belonging because people protect what they feel permanently part of. So well said. You're so articulate. That's why I love you, you know. That's why I love you. Real Alfred. Denver says, I use the plastic bags from the supermarket. Denver, what are you still using them plastic bags for? Why are you still using them plastic bags for? To collect my glass, aluminum can, and then glass to dispose of properly. You get away. You get away. I hope you are just now topping up on those reusable bags. Alfred Real, if people only care for spaces they feel ownership over, what responsibility does government have to cultivate belonging and stewardship? Not just enforce bylaws, especially in a Cayman that feels increasingly transitory. Yeah, meaning constantly going out. Yeah, it's true. If people only care for the spaces they feel ownership over, what responsibility does the government have to cultivate a belonging of stewardship? Not just enforce bylaws, especially. And I think that is where it's going to actually, hey, Shaka Zulu, how you doing? I think that's where that's where the challenge is, because people are coming, people are going. Just before I went live, I was speaking to someone on the phone, and they were actually just sharing with me how they're feeling and where they were working. It's like the place is dead. There's like a sense of heaviness in the air. And they haven't been in the Cayman Islands for almost 30 years. The atmosphere, the breeze, the wind, everything is different. And they see Cayman as home. This is home. What is changing? And here we are speaking about how we handle our garbage, but exactly this increasing transitory, meaning it's a constant spinover of people. You go, you come here, you don't like it. How are we going to be able? It's somewhere, somehow, I'm thinking we have to readjust the dial for a balance. But what we cannot forget is the foundation of who we are. And Alfred Real, that's going to take every one of us that calls Cayman home. And I don't know what's in the air, but I'm hoping with time the dust will settle and a sense of belonging, a sense of inviting, a sense of we in this together comes back at the forefront, because right now it is not feeling. It's not. Okay, Harry, have a good evening. Be safe. Thank you for your contribution. I'm just hoping that things change. I'm really, really hoping. And that was the same sentiments that were shared. Wake Up Cayman says, I always say here in the UK, you can get anything free except a house. I am waiting for someone to throw... You're waiting for them to throw away a house. If you look harder, you probably find it too. Oh my gosh. Zakazulu, who remembers Cayman had a cleanup campaign called Pitch In, labeled on garbage bins all over the country. Whatever happened to that? Yeah, it's true. Shakazulu, now that we didn't have it. What has happened? It's gone back to what I said at the beginning. Where have we lost it? Why are we feeling like we're losing control? Don't blame it, I feel, only on population growth. Was it that we are growing so fast, which should be some of the cons, but that should not hinder enforcement. You can see where we're deteriorating. We're seeing where the needs are for more enforcement officers to go out and apprehend offenders. Why not just actually do it? Because you have the Litter Act, also under the Public Health Act. There is a nuisance section. Yeah, there is a nuisance section under the Public Health Act that if a yard becomes unsanitary, meaning it attracts pests, smells bad, or becomes a health risk, DEH can step in. They can inspect the property, they can issue warnings, and they can order a cleanup. So yes, there are legislations there that government can intervene on private property if that is the case. But once you can deem that it is a public health issue, and that covers them under the Public Health Act. And what we need to really ask then, should our government then consider amending the laws in actually enforcing a curb appeal law? Something in there that covers curb appeal, especially if you're on a main road or on a thoroughfare. Should there be just certain standards? We want that all over the place because we see what it can do to property values pretty much. And like I said, under the Public Health Act, government can intervene, but they have to be caught. Yeah. So we produce, as little as you want to believe this, Cayman produces more waste than ever before, and it continues to climb. Yes. And when it piles up, people add to it. And guess what? It becomes a cycle that's going to go nowhere. Jim says, if a single household needs more than 2 trash cans, they are creating too much trash or have too many people in one household. And it'll be surprised what they're throwing away though. Yeah. Damien says, a 2025 article states the United Kingdom Public Service brace for cuts of up to 11% to fund defense. No wonder why bin workers were going on strikes. Oh, repeatedly. Who's in charge of DEH? The director of DEH is Mr. Richard Sims, and the minister is Honorable Catherine Ebanks Wilkes. Yes. So that is who's responsible for DEH. The director of DEH is Mr. Richard Sims. The man can produce, but he has to be funded. And it has to be it has to be funded, and has to be funded, be it with manpower, equipment as well, and proper scheduling. Because there are men and women, brothers and sisters that are out there doing this. And I feel that with proper manpower, it is possible, but we have to change our behaviors and our culture. We have to actually catch these people. We have to actually do a better job with holding a lot of these people accountable for just dumping illegally. Mm-hmm. I feel that at the end of the day, that is where that's our gap. That is our gap. Big gap. Yes. There's also a set of regulations as well. And in these regulations, it says that garbage must be stored properly. They must be secured and put out correctly. You see where the regulations is aligning with the Wheel of Bin campaign. So government was actually assisting. It needs to continue. And bags in the regulations can't be left open or scattered because waste can't be left in a way that it attracts pests. So it's not that at the end of the day, we don't have legislation that clearly outlines it. There was even a pilot program that was introduced given proper receptacles. So hello, at the end of the day, you can't say we haven't started. I will constantly repeat, it's not that the Cayman Islands do not have laws. It's not that we don't have regulations. We're under-enforced. how do you align them that it makes the legislation and regulations make sense? And our respect where our culture is concerned and how we actually deal with garbage is something very important. And when people come to our island, they need to respect what they see. I feel they need to respect our laws. And more, we need to respect our culture and our standards. But that's not to say that some of us people, our own, are not guilty either. Because a lot of these rental properties are owned by our very own people. And all they're concerned about is getting the rent. Now we have to be honest. We have to call it as it is. And just how you can have a jackass of the day who parks in a blue spot, maybe we need to do a shame 'em. A shame 'em. I don't know. Because we can't continue going down this road and we talk about it, name 'em and shame 'em. I don't know. We can't just continue to do this. And if we lose this part of our identity when it comes to cleanliness, which we know is a part of our identity, it's a part of what makes Cayman, Cayman. If we lose that, my friends, we lose one of the main things that has always set us apart. That is the pride that we take in our homes, our yards, our surroundings, our communities. And trust me, residents and visitors alike actually notice it. I have been in the presence of delegates who come from visiting us, courtesy calls, and visit. And the first thing they would say, oh my God, this place is so clean. Now, many of them are in leadership roles from where they're coming from. And that is one of the first things that come out of their mouth. And I'm like, really? And they're looking at me like, yeah, your roads are clean. Oh, hell no. We got a lot more work to do because this is not what we're accustomed to. And they're looking at me like, what are you talking about? You see what I tell you? They don't see what I see because where they're coming from, it is so what we would call nasty that they see our roads are clean. Can you imagine if I put them in place to uphold our Cleanliness Act or Litter Act? They see our place as being clean, but we're seeing it as being nasty. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind?
Good evening, Miss Sabrina.
Hi.
What's on my mind? How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'm going to preach a little bit about what I see.
Give it to me.
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
All right.
That's how I was raised in the Bronx. So let me put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get to a point in this country where disposing of garbage is looked at
Mm-hmm.
in a way that it is done properly.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're in the process, the government is in the process of putting together recycling, rolling out recycling bins, because I think that was done previously in the previous government before all the madness took place. But anyhow, we are going to have to start to use the laws that we have in this country and start enforcing them. Garbage in front of private properties or even businesses that have these garbage containers, it's it's plainly eyesore. It's horrible to look at. It is not a nice sight to see when you are a visitor to this country, much less a resident. And when this is rolled out and done, I hope, I've heard down the Mile Road that garbage receptacles and cans are going to have to be put at the back of your properties and only brought out on the
Certain.
night before garbage day, whatever day it is. And garbage is supposed to be disposed of in proper garbage bags, and the bins are supposed to be covered. Because what is happening is the overflow of garbage all over the island in the front of properties has become a totally eyesore and a national disgrace. I'm going to call it as I see it. The chickens, the hens, and the roosters. The DEH has come out and said, we are going to, what was their word? Manage the population. Let me tell the DEH head today here, there should be no managing the feral chickens, hens, or rooster population in this country. Just like the invasive green iguana, they need to be eradicated. Because God forbid we go back to what bird flu was, and we go back to where it becomes where humans start contracting it and getting sick. Therefore, we have a health disaster and a national health disaster in this little Caribbean developing nation. We have to understand that we had chickens and roosters and hens, yes, before Ivan, but they were pinned up and kept, and they got away. And we as a people have allowed this room and continue in down the madness to where you can't even plant something in your yard for the poop and for the this and for the that. But getting on to keeping properties clean, neat, and tidy. I remember growing up in the bright Christmas time, all year round, you tended to your property. You made sure it was clean. It was no garbage blowing around. Garbage is everywhere here, and people just don't seem to care. Or launching ramps have become an eyesore.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen some images.
And I went down to the one down here in Northwest Point, one of them, and I totally cleaned it before the weather because it got to me. I picked up every cigarette butt, every piece of garbage. I've even cleaned, up to the other day, I went there were some rocks on what the fishermen use. And I threw them back into the sea because that can become a flat tire for those fishermen too. But the amount of garbage that I cleaned up in the space of 2 hours, it was like people were looking at me when they were coming like, what is this man doing? This man is cleaning it because it's nasty and you people need to stop it. What I'm going to say is I don't know who's in charge of the CCTV for these islands, but we're going to have to put in place some CCTV cameras at all of our launching ramps because it's there in case of an emergency too. They need to go there. That's the first thing. People have to start to respect where they live, and it starts at home. We can no longer throw garbage in the roads, in our properties, and keeping them to where they are deplorable. It causes a mice and rat problem. And we are going to have this conversation because I'm going to ask you to have it one day next week, and I'm going to speak. And I'm going to talk about slum landlords. But some Caymanian ones. Who think that they're all above the law when it comes to taking care of what needs to take care around their properties. We as a people are being bombarded as Caymanians from right, left, and center because there is a problem here, and the problem is people coming here to this country need to understand you can't litter, trash it. This is paradise to me, and I hate to see garbage on the road. I hate to see rodents running around people's properties. If you want to smoke your cigarette butts, carry them with you. Don't litter where you live. You have come and found something clean and you littering it up. and it's like They do not honestly care. When you do not take pride in where you live, it's a sad situation. Garbage, we're going to have to start to do the enforcement. If
Yeah.
your property is a direct disaster with broken down cars and this and that and whatever, you're going to have to be given a warning, and you're given a certain time frame to clean it up. Or what's going to happen is you're going to be fined till it is cleaned up monthly. Something has to be done. You know, I see the visitors looking, and I see visitors on some of the West Bay beaches here. They pick up garbage that people leave behind. You go to the beach, you leave beer bottles, you leave food containers, you leave styrofoam, you leave this, you leave that. Is it so hard? It's going to bother you that you brought it there, that you can't take it back in the same bag you carried it in?
You see one of the WhatsApp person is say what the children are even doing in the schools. Can you imagine? They're throwing the garbage down on the ground that's next to the garbage receptacle. It's not like there's no garbage can around. It's right there.
Thank you. So we're going to have, we're going to have to get on a national health cleanup for this country, because we love to buy things. But I keep saying everything that is bought has to go somewhere.
Exactly.
Because not all recyclables are recyclable here. And if we continue to grow Mount Trashmore the way it is, well, you want a Mount Trashmore in every district now? Is that what we're going to become? When you see something from a cruise ship, it's not a pretty sight to see. And we're being told that the visitors say, oh, the cruise passengers say, oh, they have mountains here. Mountains? Which mountains? The tallest mountain I see is on the right, 140 foot high. It's called the Bluff.
Yep.
Nastiness has to stop, because we all are in this together, and we're all going to have to learn that when we see somebody littering, pick your phone up, take a video of it. If they get angry at you, that's their problem. Have some proof to show what is happening. Start as Caymanians and as residents and as visitors. I went to Canada for the first time in 2004, I think it was. And what impressed me about Canada was how clean it was.
Yeah.
Didn't see no garbage on the highways, Miss Sabrina.
It's true.
But you see it in America blowing all over the big place.
All over the place. New York, they had it up to their waist the other day because of the weather, and it was a stench in Manhattan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we have to get to where we respect where we live and where we call home. Because if we continually trashing it, then it's going to become a dump. And we already have one dump. We don't need another one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a big enough one. We have to learn to respect our environment. We have to learn to respect one another.
First and foremost, yeah.
That, nobody wants to live next to your house looking so. And there should be an enforcement arm of it, whether it falls under the Department of Environmental Health or whoever. But the laws in this country are going to have to start to be enforced, because Cayman is a changed little developing island nation. And if we do not put some serious laws that we already have on the book and start to deal with what needs to be dealt with one by one, I'm going to just say this, and I'm going to leave it here after that. It was said in the House of Parliament some weeks ago by one or two of the MPs that if we don't soon watch what's happening here, one day you're going to turn on, as I call it, turn on YouTube. The MP said, one day we're going to come to where there are no generational Caymanians sitting in the House of Parliament.
That's closer than we think.
We're going to become a parliament of paper Caymanians. And then what next? I'm not against about any foreigner coming here to my country.
It's not the prejudice.
It's not that. It is the downright disrespect for what Cayman is, what Caymanians are, what our culture is, our heritage, and our history. And when you come to another man's country, you do not go on like you own it, or you do not go on like you were here before us. This is Cayman. We are a welcoming people, but we have started to realize and learn that our welcoming attitude has got us in this mess. And it's up to each one of us to look around and see what needs to be done to try to get Cayman back to where it was. Garbage is everywhere. It is everybody's responsibility to clean up where you carried it. It's not the DEH. It's not the National Roads Authority. It is each one of us, whether we are Caymanian by birth, by paper, whether we are a work permit holder here, whether we are residents, whatever, or a visitor. We have to do a better job of keeping the roadways or properties or businesses clean. Cayman, a clean Grand Cayman used to be a clean island when I moved here in 1988 from Cayman Bride. It looks, oh my Lord, some places look like some of the worst things I've seen on my travels. Like Shaka Zulu is saying, correction, Cayman is considered to be a developed nation. Yes.
Not a developing nation, despite being overwhelmed by the influx.
He's got that right, because no one thinks of the Cayman Islands as a third world country being in the Caribbean Sea.
Exactly. We're not looked like that. Yeah.
No. I want to say this and then I'm going to end it. There is a tourist attraction down the road called the Turtle Center. Right now, the pipes are being replaced because the funding was given, which was badly needed. The old section of the turtle farm is a deplorable sight to look at.
Oh, the seaside.
Yes, the fencing is down, the wall is broken, the pipes are all clambered up together, and there's nothing hiding it. It's horrible when you come out from what you just spent as a visitor, all of that money, and you come outside and you look and see that. There's no space for the visitors to come out, sit down in shade. There's two little pieces of huts or something over in the parking lot. We go over to the other side of the road now, not the beach side, the inland side. There is a big old hole dug where the pipes are being replaced. And all of the fencing around that is broken down now with the green tarpaulin. And it's a big hole. If a visitor falls into that and gets injured, you don't think they're going to sue?
That's government property.
Yes, you have all of the shrubbery there that needs to be torn up. The fencing needs to be done over. And you need to put in some coconut trees, put a sidewalk, and put some more little spaces with seating so visitors can come out and sit down and admire the view.
Because we still have a view. That's one of the limited places along the coast that we still have a view.
And it was a beautiful view here last week for everyone that wanted to see what the Caribbean Sea can do when it wants to be angry. We love it when it's calm and we come clean when it's angry. But it's called nature and we need to learn to respect it.
I took a drive.
So
I was there.
all the parking on both sides. There's staff parking on both sides, the Turtle Center and the Dolphin Place. But yet we got this big old parking lot sitting here that sits fairly half full most days on cruise ships. But all these cars are on both sides of the road. People have to understand that this is supposed to be a worldwide known attraction, the Cayman Turtle Center. And I got to come out and look at pipes and broken down fence where you're digging up pipes. No. I urge the Cayman's National Attraction Authority, and I urge the minister, Mr. Gary Ratty, to take a walk on a busy cruise ship day down there and see what I see, because it's an eyesore and it needs to be cleaned up. Not for a world-class tourist attraction, I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to start somewhere. And if we continually see things and don't say nothing about it, it's just going to erode these islands and bring us into a worse state than what we already are. We have to take respect for where we live. This is home. And if we want to leave it for generations to come, and for generational and for visitors to come and enjoy, we must take pride in it. We must keep it clean, because we are a clean set of people as Caymanians. Okay? And cleanliness, I keep saying, is next to godliness. You must learn to pick up and carry where you left. You brought it there, take it with you. There are no slaves in Cayman to come pick your garbage up off the road. They get paid handsomely, and they do it, because they don't want to see the garbage either. But we're going to have to put in place where roadways are to be cleaned weekly, whatever. We're going to have to put more garbage receptacles around our public parks and our public launching ramps and our tourist attractions. Every one of them should be looked at. And if they need some aesthetically pleasing plants or some fencing to block something with some tarpaulin or some extra seating, let's get it done. Because the visitors that are coming here are seeing what we see, that we choose, most of us, to ignore on a daily basis. And it's not right. Because if we don't keep our environment clean, how can we expect to say we have a clean, free little island? It's all of us, and it's going to have to take
all of us,
everybody, looking and saying, I can't throw this down. If I see someone littering, say, please pick it up. You're making the country look nasty.
Yeah. When it comes to litter, your immigration status means nothing, and that goes for everyone.
No, it's nastiness. So, Cayman, please stop the littering, because every piece of garbage that goes into that Caribbean Sea, we love our turtle meat, those that eat it. But do you know the turtles in the wild? I can show you some videos on YouTube where they go and rescue turtles entangled in fishing nets, entangled. They got straws down their nostrils where they got to pull them out. That's where the garbage goes. Our beaches need to be cleaned constantly, because garbage is flowing from everywhere around us.
I know that the DEH used to have persons from Parks and Recreations that used to go and empty the trash containers. Remember those green drums that had DEH on them? And they would empty them every morning. But okay, fine. Okay, I get it. We're seeing an increased use of persons on our public beaches. If that used to be raked, blown, swept, and these receptacles emptied every morning, and we admit the fact that there has been an increase in usage on our public beaches, put in the necessary manpower and resources then that they're done maybe twice a day. Fund it.
Thank you.
So it's not that, okay, we're just going to continue doing what we used to do.
What we did, it has, the narrative and the mindset has
to change. Yeah, and fund it. Fund it so that we can keep,
because you want visitors to come here. They're getting one experience on Cayman Airways, and then when they step off of the plane, they get
a total different one.
Yeah. And then you get culture shock when you're driving down the road and you go, what is wrong with this? Chickens on top of garbage at 12 o'clock in the day, digging and biting.
And worse, if it is the day before that area is due for garbage collection.
It looks like slums.
Yeah. And this is what somebody, I don't know at what point you joined in, they were saying maybe we need to go back to twice a week collections, but in certain areas, especially the thoroughfares, those areas where we have the dense population that we see the accumulation of garbage
Yes.
throughout the islands. The DEH staff know where these places are.
Yes. We just need them, like
Correct.
the
The
manpower. Like you
manpower.
say, the money needs to be asked
They
for,
need to
and
be
I
diverted
am
that way.
one here. I am saying whoever needs to ask for the money, go to the House of Parliament and ask for it.
Well, I just got
Because-
some information in regards that you say that, well, you organically just went in there, that the fourth meeting of 2025-2026 session of Parliament is Wednesday, the 4th of March, 2026.
Hey, hallelujah. 2 days after my birthday, if I'm alive.
There we go.
Good birthday present.
Yes. Your birthday's on the 3rd of March. You celebrate that with some.
The 1st of March.
The 1st of March. Okay.
The 1st.
The 1st of March. Okay, good.
I get to say more. Yeah.
I got to remember that. Yeah. So there we have it. Yeah, this is just announced, was released. And so yeah, the 4th of March, Wednesday, the 4th of March at 2 p.m. The fourth meeting of the 2025-2026 session of Parliament of the Cayman Islands will commence. So there you have it.
There we go.
So, in the coming days, we'll exactly see
what is going to go on.
If there are any parliamentary questions. All right. You got it right.
You know about it.
You got the deadlines. That's right. You got the deadlines for the parliamentary questions. You got the deadlines for the MPs to put in the premier's questions, any urgent questions, government motions and private members' motions. All of the deadlines are there, and those deadlines for them to be submitted is actually the 24th of February for the government motions, for private members' motions, the 24th of February. So yeah, interesting, great times. Yeah. And then for parliamentary questions, no later than 5 p.m. on Friday, the 20th of February. And for Premier's question, 5 p.m. on Monday, the 2nd of March. And urgent questions, the deadline for those to be submitted will be 12 p.m. by the day they are to be asked. So there you have it. They can't say that they don't have all of this, and we're sharing it here for the public as well.
I see where we
need to look at active workforce.
Listeners say, living happy about the supermarket giving.
Oh, yes. I wanted to go back to that. Whether or not we could really,
well, I mean, we could do something.
That would probably have to be a public-private partnership. It's one thing that government, because there's one thing of shipping it off, that's a cost.
Yeah.
And based on where you have to locate who's going to take it. And maybe there's something that we used to recycle glass. I think the DART group used to actually collect that.
The flowers are still doing
flowers,
it.
yes.
We could just give it to them,
Well,
we got to come up with
we got to create the need, the demand. But it could be a private-public partnership between government,
And one other thing.
Go ahead.
The HSA, for the love of it or not the love of it, it's what it is. But every time you go there, you get a paper bag with a label.
For your medication?
And I'm like, seriously? When are we going to do away with that? Can we get some bags that are reusable and save some money for the HSA? But better yet, let me let a little light bulb go off for the HSA CEO, Mrs. Yearwood. All of these plastic bottles that we are dispensing medicines in, where are they ending up? You think every one of us throwing them in the recycle bin? No, going in the Mount Trashmore. Why can't we have where when you go by to pick up your medicine, you drop off those plastic medicine bottles. And they start getting a system where they can sterilize them and reuse them. Because we're just buying things, spending money on stuff, and what? Throwing it into the garbage dump? There's ways that they can save a lot of money right there. Who needs to see a label every time for what it is? It's just a thought, but they're going to have to be ways put so that
we can only hope and pray.
Garbage is a problem, and it's going to have to be pushed into everyone's face for people to get it and start to be fined.
Yeah.
And in order to get you don't trash where you live.
Mm-hmm.
You pick it up and carry it with you.
Yep.
So Cayman, we're living in paradise.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to see it clean, you got to take the trash
With you. Mm-hmm.
Carry it with you. Don't leave it on the beach. Don't leave it down at the launching ramp.
Yep.
Take it with you. It starts with every one of us. Because,
being responsible.
You have to be responsible, like you say, but you also have to come to understand you got to respect where you are from, where you live, because there's only one Cayman Island.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get to a point where the garbage is washing up constantly on the beach, how you gonna go to the beach?
Yep. Because we got that coming from
polluted.
We got that coming from other jurisdictions, and then we're not helping ourselves again. So we're fighting.
We don't need. We don't need to add to the problem. So Cayman needs to get on the bandwagon, every one of us, and do. We need to have start a national cleanup week or month, and do it every couple of months. So it is there and instilled into all of us that we got to take our trash with us where we go. We take it back where we need
dispose
to go,
of it
and we
properly.
put it in and dispose of it properly. And the powers to be at the DEH, I'm sure you got laws on the books for all of this nasty garbage that's left out in front of people's property all the time. You all gonna start having to enforce the laws you have once you roll out this recycling program, because Cayman got to start to get itself clean again, because this is a nasty island.
Yeah, the pilot is over. It's
just
for the government to fund it now, so that receptacles can be given island wide.
Someone in the government was listening this evening, because that was the reason, to get them to try to understand. You got to fund this, and you need to do what needs to be done.
The data is
in
there.
order to keep the programs going.
Correct.
Because visitors don't want to come here see garbage. They want to see paradise.
Amen. Leave me there.
And
6:56.
one day we will get to about the slum landlords.
Actually, I wrote it down. It could be a topic for definitely a day next week. But however, tomorrow is open mic Friday.
Tomorrow,
all
I might
Fridays.
surprise a few ears.
There we go. So I will prepare myself. I'll see what kind of laws, if there's any that would cover that, where we need to go, things to consider.
Okay.
That's the good thing about me having some time on my hands. You bring it up and I can go and look at it.
You can research it.
There we go.
Thank you, Miss Sabrina.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
And have a great evening, and God continue to bless this country. A little developed Caribbean, developing or developed islands called the Cayman Islands, and all who come here. I'm not against anyone coming here. I'm against people coming here with their disrespect, because this little place, we have laws, and we all have to learn to obey them and get along. And when I go and visit somewhere, I'm not going to stay in wherever I am. I go out and I get to know the culture and the people. And I urge anyone that's living here amongst us, start getting to know Caymanians, because we are a good, kind-hearted, loving set of people. But it's one thing I do not like from anyone, even my people, is disrespect, because we all got to live together, and that's just the way it is.
There we go.
So have a good evening.
Likewise, my love.
And
Take
God
care.
bless.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
You're
welcome. Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night. There we have it. Denver, I was the former minister, and those receptacles were increased to the best of my knowledge. They just weren't being emptied enough. Persons were taking matters into their own hands, and but them being labeled, which is why I am so able to fill you in on all of this, because I do recall that. And it was brought to light, but there we go. That was the, I think, in all honesty, the collections need to be increased because of the volume of garbage that we're seeing. And some of the suggestions that came about that is exactly what the last caller said. The separation of aluminum from plastics and that sort of stuff is actually what's was overfilling those receptacles, and the amount of persons, especially on the public beaches, those cans, you needed to almost put like 3 or 2 drums per cabana and in certain spots. But I think what would have aided in that would have been more frequency in the disposal, the emptying of them. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, yes, it's that time. We've talked about something, and thank you for all of those persons who chimed in, all of those for the caller and for the WhatsApp messages and all that sort of stuff. We talked about something deeper than garbage or messy yards. When you look at it, we talked about, when you just unearth all of that was exchanged here this evening, we talked about identity. We also talked about our pride, and we talked about who we are and who we want to get back to being, because somewhere it is actually slipping through our fingers. And cleanliness was never just about aesthetics, as I said at the opening. It's about respect. It's about our community. And it's about Caymanian way of life. And yes, our islands are changing. And yes, our population is growing. And yes, enforcement is lacking. But culture can be rebuilt. Norms can come back as well. Standards can be restored. And therefore, pride will be returned if we decide it matters. So I am appealing to everyone this evening to let's hold each other accountable, that was supported so eloquently by our caller. And let's support these who need help. Let's demand better systems. And let's protect Cayman's cleanliness culture that has always set us apart from the rest. I want to thank you for joining me this evening. I'm looking forward to all of you tomorrow evening as we engage on Open Mic Friday, because that's when the mic becomes yours. It has been a pleasure. Please be safe as we usher in the change in temperatures that are about to grace our shores and rough seas. Please, please, please exercise caution. Don't be silly. Don't put our first responders at risk because you've decided to make a wrong decision. Until tomorrow, please be safe, be blessed. Love you lots. Good night.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.